Hi, I'm Ken Goldstein. I'm here with Niall McCann of the new show, Biggest and Baddest. Niall, what is Biggest and Baddest about?
Biggest and Baddest is a show about some of the largest and most dangerous animals in the world. And attached to each of these animals is some kind of legend. So the show is essentially about me going in search of these animals to try and uncover the truth behind these legends, and inevitably having some up close and personal encounters with each and every one of them. My whole family are biologists and adventurers, and that's been a part of my life from the beginning. But inevitably, you're going to be afraid when you first pick up a snake, because snakes can cause you all kinds of harm. Right. So when I was 15, I was in Australia with my family, and my dad and I were going for a walk through the jungle, a place called Lamington National Park, and we came across a python. It was about 8 feet long, and it was curled on the floor. And Dad kind of went, "There you go, son, pick it up." And it was one of those moments, you're my son or you're not my son kind of moments. And I was looking at this 8-foot python, and naturally you're terrified. But Dad had encouraged me to do it, so I went and picked it up, and it was fine, and it didn't bite me, and everything went really well, and I put it back down. And that night, Dad and I had an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I did him doubly proud that night by eating just an immense amount of food. So it was this ultimate father-son bonding moment.
So was there a choice when you were growing up, or did you know this is what you were going to do?
From the moment I can remember, I knew I was going to be a biologist. It's just so happened in recent years that I've kind of taken a line going down working with particularly dangerous animals. But then that, I suppose, feeds off the side of my personality, which has always sought adventure in other remits as well. So I've always loved climbing and always loved being out in the wild in ways that most people wouldn't want to do because of the inherent dangers of doing these things. And I've tried to take that aspect of my normal life into my life as a biologist as well.
So how do you go from somebody who just had a fascination with it to actually being the guy that you are today? What was that switch?
Well,
because it's not you're not when you started exploring, there wasn't money behind you to explore, right?
Not at all. But there comes a time when you have to shed that facade of being part of an adventurous family and actually do something yourself. And I really wanted to be hugely independent, and I didn't want to let anything get in my way of forging my own path along an adventurous career. So my life as a biologist has me running around the jungles of Central America trying to find dung of a specific animal, a tapir, and then I can figure all kinds of things out about that animal from the dung. And as bizarre as that sounds, it's genuinely possible to figure out, I don't know, anything about its history, its family history, its evolutionary history, by finding DNA in its dung. So I spend half the year running around the jungles, and the other half of the year trying to be clever in a lab. So there's a bit of kind of test tube work.
For what? What would the end goal be? Why would you do something like this?
To genuinely impact upon the conservation of a species or of an ecosystem.
So is that what the show is about for you? Is it about trying to figure out ways that you can help the planet? What is this about exactly?
The show's...
Like, why are you doing this in particular, instead of just because it seems like you're drawing more attention to these areas that may not necessarily be good attention?
I think it really will be good attention. In the case of wildlife and the outdoors, any attention is good attention, really. If I can give people a window to see that there's these amazing animals out there, these amazing ecosystems, these amazing environments, I hope to be able to impact on some people and encourage them to think more positively about the environment, to think more positively about what they can do with their lives. That they don't necessarily just have to follow the line that their parents did and work in an office their lives, but they can go and adventure and go and explore and contribute positively to the future of the world.
It's funny when you say that, because there are millions of people that believe that they don't have a choice, that they have to do what their parents did, they have to follow in their parents' footsteps. So what is it that makes somebody do something extraordinary like you've done with your life? What is the difference? Because again, people will say, well, this guy probably has some money behind him, or he's got, some sort of access that enables him. But it's not true.
No, I have no family money behind me. All of these expeditions I either pay for myself, or I wrote grant applications and got grant funding. I got funded by the Royal Geographical Society to do the first major biological expedition I did in 2003 to South America to study giant otters for 7 weeks. And it's just about determination, not being willing to just follow the status quo. Throughout the ages, people have broken away from the status quo, and they're the people you remember. They're the people you talk about. You don't talk about someone just towing the party line and doing what everyone else did. You talk about the people that took a stand and decided, no, I'm going to do something different.
Isn't it amazing? We always think about that. The analogy I make is that how many times do we have to see the jock in high school end up as the janitor afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely.
But right in your culture, where you're from too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens everywhere, and yet kids will still act a certain way in school, thinking it's going to get them ahead or do something, and it never works. There's a precedent set. If you want to really leave a mark on society, you have to do something extraordinary, and it's not that hard. You know?
It really isn't. It just the only thing stopping people is themselves. They think they can't, but you really can. All it takes to do a great adventure is buying a ticket. You'll figure the rest out when you get there. And people don't realize how easy it is to do these things. They're trapped by the thought that it's particularly difficult, but it really isn't. Just take some dedication. It hasn't ever felt like it's something unusual to me. It's just felt like this is what I should be doing. Doing adventures, be it something in the polar regions, be it climbing a big wall cliff in the States, be it rowing an ocean, no matter what it is, I've always just felt like this is just what I should be doing anyway. It hasn't felt as though I'm doing something like a caricature. It's just the way I want to be. But some people thrive in that, and they love being in these isolated situations because it's something primordial. You are relying upon yourself to survive and get through this. And it takes a huge amount of discipline, but it's something I really enjoy, that level of simplicity. All I need to do is do whatever it takes to get from here to here without dying. And in life that's very easy, but on an ocean or on a mountain or on an ice cap,
it's not so easy in life either, actually.
not for everybody. We've been walking around London, these taxi drivers are maniacs.
People, it's funny because people tend to take the little problems in life and think that it's impossible to get from, well, how do I get from no money to paying my rent in a month? But I love the metaphor of what you're doing with your life because there's always a way.
And the mistake is to give up, to think that it is impossible. It really isn't. If you are willing to find a way around, it might take some sacrifice, it might take you pushing yourself beyond what you thought would be possible before. But if you're really that determined, in any element of life, you can push through to that end goal.
You recently, for the show, you guys, what are some of the things you just did that you set out to do?
I wanted to go and document the largest elephants in Asia. And I wanted to go and document the largest cat in the world. And we did both of those in Nepal. So you have this amazing population of Asian elephants and this incredible population of Bengal tigers living in this wonderful part of the plains of Nepal, the Terai Plains in the southwest. And we spent a month riding on elephant back, searching for tigers and searching for elephants. And what we found out was if you really wanted to get near the elephants, you had to get on foot. And you had to sneak up to them on foot. And this was an amazing moment when you're having to rely on the types of skills that we essentially gave up when we left the caves and moved into the cities. You're having to sneak from tree to tree to stop the elephants from seeing you and finding out where you are. Because if they find out where you are, they're going to trample you to death. I got noticed by one elephant, and I was up a tree. I was climbing a tree, and he must have noticed something was happening. And this elephant happens to be one of the largest two left in the world. It's 11 feet at the shoulder, weighs probably 15 to 18,000 pounds. Just a crazy sized element. And it suddenly realized that something was up, and it was just going to mess stuff up. So it just charged forward, made this ridiculous screaming sound, and then just sat there with its trunk in the air, just trying to figure out where I was, trying to sniff me out. And that's the one time in my life when I've kind of thought, damn, I can't get myself out of this. Because normally, in anything you do, you're in control in some way. If you're catching an anaconda, which is something I did for the series as well.
Normally, if you're catching an anaconda.
In day-to-day business, when you're catching an anaconda, there's some element of control. When that elephant charged me, there was nothing I could do. I just had to hide. I just had to freeze and stay as still as possible and hope that it couldn't smell me and figure out where I was.
You now have a vehicle to share your experiences and your adventures. With that comes exposing more of yourself. Mm-hmm. It comes with a opportunity to impact millions of people if it catches on. So what does it feel like to be at the precipice of, being someone that can spread messages and take the good and the bad that comes back with that?
It's an amazing feeling, and at the moment it's an incipient feeling because it's not quite happening. As you say, you're on the precipice. The show is about to go.
Well, it's starting to happen. I mean, we're here from Los Angeles specifically to be able to meet you and to bring back your stories and then to spread them out to more people. That's what we're doing here. That's our point. So now it actually is happening because now you've got a show and you've got you're
absolutely. I suppose I'm still kind of resisting this whole thing. It's going to be so interesting when I've been trying to drive my life to the position where I can make a real difference, and now it's actually happening. I'm reticent to throw myself into it entirely until it is real. I've always, you never want to commit to something and then for it to fall apart. And suddenly
really?
At this moment,
it seems like that's your story of your life.
I've always, yeah.
Why would you,
it's
it doesn't seem like you're somebody
paradoxical.
that would stop because something could fall apart.
No, but it's paradoxical. You always have this thought, what if it doesn't work? But then that's no reason to stop. So what if this doesn't work? But I'm still going to keep on trying the whole time.
This is what, we were talking the other day about, what are the bigger lessons that like you and your director Peter and the crew that you go out with, and you put your lives in jeopardy, and you have the potential of failing every second of your day.
Every single time.
In your one show about anacondas, I saw you poking a komodo. What was it?
It could have been anything.
No, what were you poking? You were poking it was like a little baby alligator.
Oh, a caiman. Yeah.
Caiman. There's so many opportunities to fail there. But
It could have bit my feet off, my hands off, my legs, or anything. Yeah, pretty much.
But yet you still did it.
Yeah.
So failure. See, my whole philosophy of failure is that it's a great opportunity. Failure is always a wonderful thing.
And you learn from it so much.
But in your case, failing means you die.
So you have to be that much more careful that you don't fail. Failure is a possibility, and you just have to try and...
Failure in your line of work now, because you're going out and doing a TV show, means that you... How do you prepare for... I understand how you can prepare for not being bitten by something, I guess, to a certain extent, but you're walking around where you can't see what's around you.
But you have to be prepared for something to go wrong, and it's then how you respond to that defines you, I suppose. If something bad were to happen, I would trust myself to respond in a way that was going to actually make the best out of that situation, whatever it would be.
I think there's a great metaphor in your life with people that are, struggling with the things that they're dealing with in their life in the city, in the suburbs.
It puts it into perspective a lot of the time. When I see families that are living off $1 a day, and then I come back and the vending machine won't accept my coin, it just puts it in perspective that that's really not the biggest problem out there. And I can deal with that because I've seen a lot worse where I've been.